Hello everybody, Josh12 back here again with another video, and I'm here with another Dragon Ball Super video, and I'm here to give you my official review for Dragon Ball Super episode 59. Now, of course, if you've not seen this episode, please go check it out, because this review may contain spoilers. But with that being said and done, let's get into this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super. Now, overall, before I get into my initial thoughts, I'd like to quickly give you viewers two side notes on this video and review, which is number one, if there's any side noise that you may or may not hear throughout the review, it's because there's been a major thunderstorm that's been fucking up my town all day today, so the mics might pick that up. Keep that in mind. Also, second side note, if I may sound very odd and or nasally or unenthusiastic, maybe more than usual, there's a clear good reason for that, which is, of course, I have been taking some hardcore pain medication to get over some shit that's behind the scenes that I will not be disclosing within this fucking review. But with that being said and done, let's get to Dragon Ball motherfucking Super. Now, of course, they took a break last week, but they're back, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a real bitch, considering the fact that the last episode we got, which was episode 58, it was a real big bag of dicks. It sucked. It really did. I'm sorry. I know it's really weird when it comes to Super. It's like either you gotta love it or you gotta hate it. People love it or hate it. You get criticized for your fucking critiques on YouTube in general. It is what it is. But overall, I have to stand true to my honesty and my love for the franchise. And when something sucks, it sucks, and that's just my generalized opinion on it. But that's last week's episode. Well, not last week's, but the last week's episode. This week's episode was actually pretty good. I mean, nothing really extravagant or epic like episode 57, but overall 59 gave us some pretty interesting set pieces, some nice dialogue here and there, some decent animation artwork throughout, and of course some progression within the storyline of Dragon Ball Super, or at least within the Future Trunks saga. And overall, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Goku, Supreme Kai, and Beerus and Whis go over to Universe 10 after realizing the truth that is Zamasu has been the architect of the main villainry behind Black Goku over the course of this saga, and decide to shut the shit down at the source. Of course, the weird thing that kind of like takes me out of the episode, which is the mindset behind time and space that Beerus and Whis kind of go off on, because Beerus and Whis have the thought process of, okay, we're gonna go out and we're gonna study Zamasu. Right before he whacks his fucking teacher, we're gonna watch his ass. We're gonna keep his ass on the steamer. When the timer goes off, we're gonna whack him. That's what happens in this episode. That's what happens. However, the thing that bothered me, which is when they come back, they have very interesting dialogue that talked about with Trunks, which is time and space and how it's okay to be safe now. But I feel like that's kind of off-putting and just very inaccurate, considering the fact that Trunks' time and Goku's time, or at least the time that we're following throughout the series, are two alternate timelines. They're different. They have been different since the Android saga. So, of course, I don't know where the thought process goes in here, but of course, I'm guessing that more incredibly intelligent Dragon Ball YouTubers will explain it better than I, and of course, possibly next week's episode will explain it better than myself within this review. However, with my layman terms, it was very odd with the whole, taking down Zamasu in this timeline and kind of feeling like, well, then that's okay because, Black will now not exist because time and space God logic or whatever the fuck. It didn't really make that much sense at the end of the episode, but overall, it was still good to see something go down and see a main villain kind of die, which does happen within this episode. Zamasu is basically on clear watch between Beerus, Whis, Goku, and Supreme Kai, and the second Zamasu does some form of villainry within the scenes, they go into attack mode and annihilate and obliterate Zamasu. And I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty badass to see it go down. I do like the comedic approach that Whis kind of went off. He definitely used his 3 minutes flashback time travel ability that he does, which I thought was pretty cool that they brought that back, considering that I think you're not supposed to use that power, considering how much gods bitch about time travel. Yet Whis seems really appropriate and belligerent enough to just be like, I'm gonna do it, whatever, who cares? So he does it, and they stop Zamasu before he literally annihilates his own teacher and master, which is Gowasu. And that is where Beerus comes in. And I have to say, it's really cool to see Beerus do something actually destructive, because you can't have a character like Beerus who is the destroyer, the lord of destruction, the god of destruction. You can't let that guy, that creature, that godly character not do some destructive things. And we haven't really seen him do destructive things in a long time, with exceptions to flashbacks, I think, within the Champa arc, and of course within Battle of Gods. But within this episode, we get to see Zamasu break out in anger and frustration, and then of course coming to the realization that this is just a scheme to really bring out his evilness and expose him to his teacher Gowasu, and then obliterate him before he becomes a legitimate problem in the future within their timeline, which is pretty badass. And also, Beerus annihilating him the way he did, I'm just saying, we need that Goku versus fucking Beerus rematch at some point in this series. Before Dragon Ball Super leaves, we need several things, which is, number one, female Super Saiyan, just for the sake of it. I'm just saying, we need it just to make everybody happy, including myself. We need fucking Fusion to come back, at least maybe once. I'm not saying it needs to become a legitimate thing, but I'm just saying it would be kind of cool to see a Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, like everybody else who's doing fan arts all the time on fucking the internet. And we need fucking just a whole bunch of shit. A whole bunch of shit, but that Goku versus Beerus rematch I want to see as well. And I feel like the way Beerus just uses his powers, I just want to see what he can truly do when all the marbles are set in everyone's corner and we can just go all out. And maybe that could happen within the 10 universe or the 12 universes tournament that Omni King Xeno will be doing or what have you. But with that being said and done, it was still kind of cool to see Beerus go all out. But back in the regular timeline, or at least within on Earth, things seem to be just going back to normal in like true filler fashion, which really bugged me. Because the thing that I was not really interested in seeing ever since we finished off with episode 57, which is Super going back into daylight filler time. That's basically what I felt like they were going to do, and they kind of did for a large portion of episode 58, and with the portions taken on Earth within episode 59. However, I will say it is kind of cool to get the moments that we did with Trunks. I mean, granted, everyone else is kind of just doing the same bullshit they do all the time. Bulma's working on the time machine, boring. Vegeta's training when he's going to lose at the end of the day. I mean, like, no offense to the hardcore Vegeta fans, and they're out there and they're killing it. But, yeah, she's training for another loss, inevitably. Or maybe not, who knows? I mean, based off the teasers, he could be coming back with a vengeance, so we'll see what happens on that front. And the Pilaf gang are doing some fucking pederast stupid shit on the behind the scenes in the bushes, while Trunks does his sitting down in the sunset, being all emo kind of thing, which really is kind of getting on my nerves. However, with all that being said and done, that's more or less a negative. It is really cool to have a Trunks and Trunks moment. Granted, Trunks beats himself up a lot. He does. He really, he has a hard time really accepting himself. He has a very Dragon Ball Z Gohan syndrome going on, which is really not believing himself, not really having hope, really beating himself up for being, himself or whatever. But I will admit, it was really sweet and really nice to have the Kid Trunks, Future Trunks moments, because it really was a good show-off of, like, Kid Trunks and Future Trunks, they're obviously very different people, but it was nice to be like, look, you got beat up, get over it, fucking get over it, and he turns to his Super Saiyan and kicks his ass for it, and I like that. I love the fact that they did that, and it was a good just big moment where Trunks is beating himself up metaphorically and physically. It was just nice. It was overall just a really nice moment. But with that being said and done, everyone comes back home. We get the obvious gods time-space debacle that Beerus and Whis kind of talk about, which really makes no sense, where they're talking about how they obliterate Zamasu. Zamasu is dead in this timeline. which means that he'll never become immortal, and of course annihilate the human race, and create Black Goku. However, as we've seen with teasers, Black Goku and Zamasu are still in future Trunks' timeline, so that's something that really bugs me. But once again, I'm a dummy, so I'm pretty sure someone on YouTube will definitely intelligibly explain this a lot better than I. But with that being said and done, that was pretty cool stuff. It was a really nice episode. If there is one thing to take away from this episode, is that even villains have resting places. This episode was funny where it had to be funny, but there's nothing more funny than seeing the villains' hideout. I'm just saying, where do Black and Zamasu hang out? They hang out in the cabin in the woods. You know, when they're done destroying the world and getting all powerful and making the world a safer place for immortals, you know what they're doing? They're hanging out in the cabin in the woods, drinking tea and what have you. I'm just saying, that was some funny stuff. It was very intriguing to get some dialogue between the two in a I guess a safe zone, if you will, without any legitimate battles. And it was also interesting to see that Black Goku, even though we don't truly know what or who he may or may not be, which of course next episode might give us some insight into his identity, hopefully, for fuck's sake, he really is bent on not really becoming immortal like Zamasu, but more or less wanting to get all-powerful. And I want to know, is that because he truly wants to get all-powerful, or is that like Goku's body, like, just changing his motives? I don't know. It's a real weird, interesting debacle there, but it just means that Black Goku could die. Zamasu, on the other hand, is another interesting factor, but we'll find that out in the future episodes. But with that being said and done, overall, this episode was pretty good. I liked it. It was really decent. There was some good, interesting set pieces, great animation artwork. There was some good moments and sweet moments between Trunks and Trunks. Ironically enough, it was cool to see Black and Zamasu hang out. Beerus obliterating Zamasu into nothingness was epic. And next week, we get the rematch, round 2 for everybody. It's fucking Vegeta versus Black. I kind of see where that's going already, but however, it's still happening. We got Goku and Trunks team up against the immortal Zamasu. I want to see that fucker get just obliterated the same way he did in this episode, which will not happen, but we'll see what happens overall. But my final verdict for episode 59 of Dragon Ball Super has to be a solid 8 out of 10. It was a pretty sweet episode, and I liked it and enjoyed it a lot. But let me know what you personally think in the comments section below. What were your personal thoughts on tonight's episode, episode 59 of Dragon Ball Super? And of course, your personal speculation and personal thoughts for future episodes and the identity of Black and how they'll stop Zamasu. With that being said and done, shameless plug time. Right before I end this video, go to my channel and check out some upcoming videos. I will have a latest episode of my Dragon Ball podcast, the Super Kaiō-shin, uploaded to my channel later on Sunday, hopefully. And of course, later this week, I'll have a Chapter 16 review of Dragon Ball Super, the manga. So of course, stay tuned for those videos. But with that being said and done, hope you guys enjoyed, and this has been Chalk 12.